Wanted to take a moment and update you all on the Nanaimo, British Columbia real estate market. There is no shortage of scary headlines being shared out there right now with respect to what's going on in the Canadian real estate market. There's already been some rate increases and another potential rate increase coming June 1st. And this has led to a bunch of different takes on the market, and I wanted to kind of put them into perspective for you. What I don't want to see anyone do is panic and make a bad decision on an emotional based decision as opposed to a data-based decision. So let's talk about it. You know, one of the big things coming out of it right now is most of the headlines that we're getting about the Canadian real estate market are focusing on two distinct markets, Toronto and Vancouver. Makes sense. Those are the two of the largest real estate markets in the country. But where people are making a potential mistake is when they start extrapolating what's happening in Toronto and Vancouver and start applying it to other markets. You see, real estate markets are insanely local by nature. And so the real estate factors, the economic factors that are impacting Toronto and Vancouver can be very different than, say, here in Nanaimo. And with that in mind, we've taken a look at inventory levels and market conditions. And if we want to look at where we're at now, we've gone from an ultra extreme seller's market into what? Well, a seller's market. We're still firmly in a seller's market with less than 3 months of inventory. It's going to take another 200 listings before we even get to balanced market conditions here in Nanaimo. So the reality of downward pressure on pricing, there's really no sign of it at this point. In fact, the level of inventory increases that we've seen this year are very predictable, and I think they're only surprising people in contrast to the last 2 years, which were two remarkably obscure years over, they stand out amongst the last 2 decades. People haven't been listing in 2020 and in 2021 because there's been a pandemic. We've been in a lockdown. This is a great place to ride out a pandemic, probably the best place on the planet. So April, May, and June are our 3 largest new inventory months. That's when everyone wants to go to market. And anyone that failed to go to market in 2020 and 2021, and all those that are going to market in 2022 are all coming to the market in May and June of this year. So it's a very predictable increase in inventory. Where we differentiate from Toronto and Vancouver is on the demand side. Okay, so supply is predictably increasing. In Vancouver and Toronto, they're seeing a plummet in demand. Why? They're seeing a plummet in demand because of affordability. Okay, when the average price of a home exceeds $1.5 million, the number of Canadians that are ready and willing and able to get into that real estate market is smaller and smaller and smaller. Different here in Nanaimo. Markets like Nanaimo, markets like Kamloops, markets like Comox, Courtenay, Campbell River, where the average house price sits well below $1 million, we still have a ton of domestic demand. There's people moving to this market despite it being more expensive than what we're used to. It's still affordable for a ton of Canadians. So there's a lot of Canadians that are ready, willing, and able to invest in the Nanaimo market or comparable markets. In fact, I've observed that when the economic forecasters all agree that Vancouver has plateaued, more people even decide to move to Nanaimo, and that why? Because they've been sitting on their equity, they've been sitting on their home in White Rock as an example. It went up $100,000 last year. Heck, I might as well stay put, make another $100,000. Once that appreciation starts to plateau like it is right now, the motivation, the incentive to stay and wait another year completely goes away. And so a lot of people are deciding, rather than wait, I might as well move now. If things are plateauing, if I'm not going to make another 20% on my equity gains in the next year, I might as well move. And that's what we're seeing. So yes, here in Nanaimo, there's been a dramatic increase in supply, but that demand still exists. We're still seeing bidding wars. We're still seeing multiple offers. And so if you're trying to time the market, which is another video we're going to do at a different time, but if you're trying to time the market with the idea that you're going to take yourself out of the market and wait for things to go down and then buy back in, that could be a very risky mistake, because here's what I'm not forecasting. I'm not forecasting a decline in Nanaimo home prices. I'm forecasting a plateau. I'm certainly not forecasting double-digit appreciation, but I can tell you I am not forecasting a decline in Nanaimo home values. I hope you found that useful. If you've got any real estate questions, we'd love to answer them. I'm John Cooper. Have yourself a great day.